All right, today I'm going to give you a little bit of a storyline. I just pulled up my Linktree page just to have some backdrop here. A little bit of a storyline. How I lost $16,000 in a bull market. In fact, this just happened. It was just a few weeks back, and it was mostly around the February timeframe. We're just getting started into March. So I'm going to share with you how I lost about $16,000 even though we were in an incredible bull market. Now, the reason I'm sharing this story with you is I want to be transparent, first of all. Now, in this story, there is a silver lining. So I'm going to share the whole story with you from beginning to end. I want to be upfront with you. And I want you to hopefully be able, along with me, to be able to learn from these lessons, because I made some mistakes here, and going forward, I'm going to be very aware. I mean, listen, the only way we truly learn in life is by gaining wisdom. We only gain wisdom through life experiences, and most wisdom is gained through negative experiences, either from ourselves or by those closest to us. Now, you and I, we have a relationship through this YouTube channel. Hopefully, you're a subscriber and you're following along, but I hope that you can learn from some of my mistakes, and I pray that you don't make some of the mistakes that I've made. So let me set the backdrop for you. So you've been following my channel. You know I was talking about gas farming a while back. You may have heard me talk about the duck tokens, the duck DAO tokens. First of all, this story starts with I had a buddy of mine who let me borrow about 210 duck DAO tokens, not the duck token, the DDIM token, which was their original token. He let me borrow this token. So I have a project that I'm watching. It's going down in value, and I want to be able to basically kind of double down on it. A good friend offered to let me borrow 210 tokens from him. So I borrowed those tokens from him. At the time, it was about $1,500, which is really what I wanted to have to kind of go into this project with. It's what I had put in. The project had pulled back. I wanted to put in some more. He ended up letting me borrow, roughly 200, well, not roughly, exactly 210 tokens. And it was around, like, it might have been $1,400, might have been $1,600, but it was somewhere around there. Now, hold on to that. We'll get back to that story. So I'm over here separately, right? I'm over here gas farming. And I had, at the time when I started gas farming, I don't know exactly what I started with. I have to go back and look at those earlier videos. Maybe 1,500 over here when I first got in, maybe 1,000, 1,500 over here. But it was a combination. It started doing really well. Unidex gas came out. By the way, people ask, am I still gas farming? Yes, I have almost 10 of these tokens now. I started out, these gas tokens were about $500 each. If you don't know what the gas token is and gas farming is, I'll put a video above. You can watch it down in the description. Basically, it's a way of earning profits from your gas transactions on Ethereum. It's awesome. It's worked really, really well. I'm still doing it. I mean, I love it. But these tokens went up in value from around $500 here. This thing actually went all the way up to like $1,500 at one point. This token here, I actually got in on a pre-sale for this token. By the way, the pre-sale was sketchy. Basically, it was like, send Ethereum to this address. And I just thought, I don't know if that's going to work. Like, it was sketchy. There was no website. No, not a good website. There was nothing at the time. You send Ethereum and you hope it works. So I sent the Ethereum, and lo and behold, within a few days, couple weeks, whatever it was, we got the tokens. And they actually had almost doubled in price, 30-40% more in the price from when we bought from the pre-sale price to the price when they launched on Uniswap. So that was a huge help. So I don't remember the exact numbers. Now, mind you, one of the stresses I have with cryptocurrency and doing my taxes is I don't track all my transactions as well as I need to. That's why I did the video last night about how to do the taxes for cryptocurrency, because when I started using this software, that's when it changed. Like, that's when it became a lot less stressful. So I don't have that same stress. I'm not worried. I'm trying to give you ideas about what my numbers were so you can understand how much I ended up earning, because I did make a little bit of money before I lost it. So I want you to understand kind of what was happening. So Unidex, I got in early on, like day 1, day 2, and the token price just started going up. Ethanol, I got in on the pre-sale, so I made money on the pre-sale, and then their token price went up. They eventually capped out at somewhere around $1,000 as well. And so that was really good. At this point, I'm gas farming full force, right? Like, I'm just going for it every single day, probably getting about $100, $120, $150 a day just in freaking gas. Well, wait a minute. I had, probably about $120 a day just in Ethereum based on what I was earning in profit from gas farming. Then Binance Smart Chain comes along, and I watched it for, maybe a few days, maybe a week. And I thought, I need to get in on that. So I sold part of my gains over here, Even though I really wanted to get to $200 a day, I wasn't quite there. I sold part of my tokens here. I sold part of these tokens, took the profits. I still had enough where I was covering my gas fees right and still making a profit every day. And I used some of that and I got started over here on PancakeSwap. And at first I did simple farming on PancakeSwap, nothing crazy, nothing, just dipping my toes into yield farming. When I did my video on how to yield farm, what made me do that video is I could not find, I'll link that video above if you haven't seen it, by the way. I'll put it down in the description as well. But I could not find good resources to teach and demonstrate exactly how to yield farm, particularly on the Binance Smart Chain. That's what led me to doing that video, if you've wondered, those of you that have been following me for a while as a subscriber. So I eventually, when I'm in this ecosystem, I go from one project to another, just testing out farming. Everything's doing well because we're in a bull market. By this time period, Ethereum starts taking off, Bitcoin's taking off. We realize we're in a bull market. Everything's going up. Binance Smart Chain, I mean, every project's doing well, and they're all going up in value, At the time, this cake token itself was like $2 or $3. And so farming over here was amazing because the tokens themselves, it wasn't from the fees or anything. The tokens you were earning were going up in value. Then I found out about AutoFarm, and I've done several videos on AutoFarm. I still like the platform, still like the project. I came over here at the time Auto Token was selling for like $2,500, $2,600 when I came in. Came in with a couple $1,000s probably, and I kept watching it, and I was only farming this farm here mainly. I did farm some of the other ones, but this was where 95% of what I had the whole time was right here. So I was getting these big percentages in the actual auto token. Now, what you need to know, anytime that you're yield farming a native token, it is the riskiest farm you can be in. If you saw my video yesterday on how I lost with value DeFi, and I ended up putting in like 633 and I withdrew $420 yesterday, all within a week or two, I ended up losing 30-40% on that. Part of the reason why on that video, I'll put it down in the description if you haven't seen it, but part of the reason I lost is because I was mainly going after the riskiest pool period is going to be the one that farms a native token, because everything really, it doesn't matter what you earn in fees, really and truly, if that native token goes up in price, or if it goes down in price, that's where you're going to make your money. Ultimately, typically when you're yield farming, you're earning the fees by providing liquidity. Again, if that sounds complicated, just go watch that video. But in the new project early on, everything really is going to be dictated on the price. And when they're paying out the price, by 11x multiplier, people ask what this multiplier is. It just means they're paying this. You're going to be earning the auto token here 11.5 times faster than the person who's earning it at a 1x. That's basically what that means. When you're earning rewards that high, what happens initially, everybody wants to get in. So they're all buying the token to provide liquidity. Price goes up, price goes up. At some point, more people are selling the rewards they're earning. And when that happens, the price crashes. Well, I rode this price up to, I don't know where it went to. I want 8,000, 9,000, something like that. And I'm sitting over here just cranking it. I think I ended up with like $15,000, $16,000. And at the time, the daily APR was like 2%. 1.8%, 1.9%, no, or maybe it was 1.5%. Either way, it was high. It was high every day. And I was just compounding it. I'd buy more into WBMP, buy more in auto. And I was just compounding it. It was going well. Auto token started pulling back a little bit. I didn't care. I got into this thing at 2,600. I got into 5,000. I was still way ahead. And I had been compounding. I was still way ahead. I was not concerned. It pulls back to about, I think the high, maybe I'd hit 20,000, but it pulled back down to about 15, 16,000, 17,000, somewhere in there. And about that time, remember when I told you, we got to go back in time. Remember when I told you that my buddy let me borrow 210 of these tokens? We hadn't actually spoken about when I was going to pay it back, but it was kind of known, there was a soft deadline coming up about 90 days or so. 60 to 90 days, something. I forget the exact time period, but around the time period that this bull market was going nuts, I was doing awesome. Everything was going up. I needed to pay him back this loan. But remember, when I borrowed these tokens from him, the DDIM token, they were around $7 or so each. I had about $1,500 in 210 tokens, whatever that math is. And I had known it because I was watching it the whole time. But when I went to pay him back, let's look at where the DDI token is right now. Yeah, that's not, you're looking at that right. $100 per token. 210 tokens would be 20,000. Now, when I paid him back, it was like 16,000 is what it ended up being. You heard that right. I borrowed $1,500 worth of tokens, but I was going to have to pay back 16,000. Why? Because I borrowed 210 tokens. I had to give him the 210 tokens back. That was the right thing to do. Now, were we in some sort of a smart contract? No, it was just he let me borrow tokens, and I had to pay him back. I don't even actually know him in real life. Like, I never met him. I consider him a good friend in the crypto space, in the YouTube space, but I needed to pay him back. So what happened? Well, I had to sell out most of AutoFarm. I had to sell out of other projects. I ended up back down to, I had to give him $16,000. That's how I lost $16,000. Now, the silver lining is this, and then I'll cover the lesson. And there's a valuable lesson here, and I hope you can learn this lesson with me. But the silver lining is I still ended up, I started out, let's just be conservative and say I started out the whole journey around 5,000 gas farming. And it was a little bit less than that. It could have been as low as 3,000, but let's just say it was 5,000. Well, when it's all said and done with today, I'm still sitting at, that original amount, whatever. There's almost 4,000 here. Over here, I got 8 tokens, and they're about 3,500 right now, somewhere in there. I'm still ahead. If I started out with 3,000 or 4,000, then I'm still ahead by 3,000 or so. Did it suck paying out 16,000? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if I would have never borrowed that, just the gains that I would have made, even if I wouldn't have made, say 20,000, whatever number you want to say, even if I wouldn't have made that, then I still would have done well. Like maybe I would have made 10 or 12,000. I would have done better. But because I borrowed those tokens, and that's the moral of the story, be very careful when it comes to lending. Any platform. It's one thing to loan somebody money or to loan a stable coin, but when you're loaning a current, neither one of us, and he and I talked about it, neither one of us could have expected. Do you think he was trying to give me a $20,000 or a $16,000 loan? No. He was looking at, this is, $1,500. Wealth is good for it. He'll get me back. That's what he was looking at. And to his credit, by the way, he did give me a little bit of a discount, which he did not have to do. I actually think I paid back, 200 tokens, 200, and he gave me a little bit of a discount, probably 5 or 10% discount. And he said, hey, I was making it like I was paying the tokens back through 2 different currencies. And he was like, or the value of the tokens, he said, hey, this is good. Don't worry about the rest of it, which he did not have to do that. Greatly appreciate it. He did not have to do that. But ladies and gentlemen, that's how you lose $16,000 in a bull market. It is crazy that happened. I'm thankful that here's the thing about crypto. I still ended up ahead when it was all said and done with by a little bit. Still ended up ahead. And you know what? After it was all said and done with, to be honest with you, at first I was like, wow, it hurt a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It stung. But then, listen, he does not know me, and I'm not going to mention his name because his financial business is his financial business, but he did not know me from Adam. Meaning he doesn't know me personally. We had no contract, no legal agreement. He did not have to let me borrow that. And he offered it, just because. And when it was all said and done with, I thought, you know what? He trusted me. Good for him. He probably, in fact, I know that he sold a lot of his tokens as the market was going up. He didn't hold them that whole time. So I thought, you know what? Good for him. He got back $16,000 in value for choosing to help a friend out. That was incredible. So you know who you are. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And that's one of the best lessons I've ever learned in crypto. I'll never again. And I've borrowed tokens and I've loaned tokens back and forth 2 or 3 times. But I will never again borrow or lend a token, because you never know when that next bull market, or in that case, Duck Dow were putting out announcement after announcement after announcement that was driving the price up, and up. So ladies and gentlemen, that's been my story. Hopefully you've learned something from it. And if you want to find out about my biggest loss, be sure to subscribe to the channel. This actually isn't the biggest loss. I've made a mega loss without a silver lining that was bigger than this a couple of years ago. And I'm going to share that in a future video. Hopefully, I'll be able to do that in a collab with somebody else who brought that idea to me. Stay tuned for that story. Be sure to subscribe, click that bell notification icon, and click all. Decentralized cryptocurrency equals freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.